Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Saturday the 5th of August 2017. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Fora News, bringing you the day's national top stories translated into English 6 days a week. Albania has strengthened its exit requirements at border points for anyone travelling to a country within the European Union. Sources told Ora News that the Director of State Police, Haki Chako, has issued an order to be implemented at all custom points in Albania. Should you decide to travel to an EU country, you must now ensure you can provide a correct and exact address of where you will be accommodated, such as proof of a hotel booking. Those travelling abroad and staying with a resident of that country must have the address of the person who is going to accommodate them. You must also be able to provide contact information and a statement written in Albanian, taking on the responsibility for your safety during the entire period of your stay in one of the EU countries. Additionally, proof of onward travel outside the EU, such as a return ticket, is also required to be shown upon departure from Albania, with the only exception being those travelling in their own vehicles. Another important point is the requirement to prove an appropriate financial position. If the traveller has proof of an accommodation booking, they must have proof of access to at least €50 for each day of their intended stay. In cases where the person has not reserved a hotel room, then the visitor must have at least €100 for every day spent in an EU country. If any of these conditions are not met, the traveller will not be permitted to board their flight, as they do not meet the entrance requirements for the EU countries. The guidance from the State Police Director comes following discussions with leaders of EU countries regarding the high number of Albanian citizens requesting asylum in European countries, which continues to increase. The EU countries have already made it very clear that they are fed up and will not accept asylum requests from safe countries such as Albania. Even though autumn will see the Democratic Party focus its attention on the analysis over the loss in parliamentary elections on June 25, DP Chairman Lulzim Basha is thinking about who will represent the Democratic Party in parliamentary bodies. In its first session, Parliament is expected to approve the members of some bodies, such as the chairmanship, the chairs of the parliamentary groups, members of the parliamentary commissions, and the members of the National Bureau of Parliament. As almost 50% of the Democratic Party's parliamentary group has changed, it is expected that changes will be made to those who represent the party in parliamentary bodies. The DP chairman has not yet made a decision about the chairman of the parliamentary group. It is unclear if the current chair will be reappointed or if another DP MP will be assigned. The chairmanship of the Democratic Party is also expected to change as some renowned figures are no longer present in the party. New DP members are expected to become part of the parliamentary commissions. As Mylinda Bregu, who used to be the chairwoman of the Parliamentary Commission of Integration, is no longer part of the DP's parliamentary group, MP Yorida Tabaku is expected to take over. The opposition must also appoint the vice chairman of multiple commissions, including the Commission of Law, the Commission of National Security, the Commission of Productive Activity, the Foreign Commission, the Economic Commission, and the Commission of Health. As Ora News has previously stated, the DP chairman has not yet made a decision about the persons who will sit in these positions, but it has been learned that Mr. Basha has already started with consultations in order to make a selection. It is understood he has called both MPs and experts who will deal with the reforms to be undertaken by both the majority and the opposition, as agreed between the Prime Minister and the DP chairman on May 18. The electoral reform and constitutional reform are among the reforms the leaders have agreed to realise. The Civil Emergency Service have reported 15 new fires in the past 24 hours. Affected areas include Tiran, Vlorë, Durrës, Elbasan, Korç, Gjirokastër, Dibër and Lezhë. 125 firefighting teams assisted by firefighting vehicles, 160 military forces and some helicopters have all been battling the blazes. According to the Civil Emergency Service, the situation has improved at Daiti Mountain after the intervention of helicopters. Fire in the wooden area of Ndroç was extinguished after the intervention of the firefighting vehicles and military forces. The situation in the Dukat village near Logara National Park remains concerning as strong winds continue to spread the flames. 2 helicopters from Greece have come to the aid of the firefighting service and military forces, but the blaze is still active. The situation is further exacerbated by the rugged mountainous terrain. Multiple fires continue to rage in the Debra vicinity, the most intense covering a large wooded area. Firefighting teams are further supported by volunteers but are still struggling to extinguish the fires due to the large area affected and the harsh conditions posed by the terrain. The Civil Emergency Service reports that 3 hectares of bushes, plants and fruit trees were burned in the Durrës area, but the fire has now been extinguished there. 0.2 hectares of bushes and shrubs along with 0.2 hectares of pines were burned in the Elbasan area. Around 0.2 hectares of bushes and shrubs were burned in Korç. 26 hectares of bushes and pasture were burned in Gjirokastër. The persisting hot weather ensures the danger of fire remains, and as such, the Civil Emergency Service are keeping the situation under constant monitoring across the country. Should you notice any signs of fire, do ensure you contact the emergency phone numbers as per the request of the Civil Emergency Service. A significant number of tourists have crossed Morina's border point in Kukës this morning and last night. Just today, Albanian border police have already welcomed 11,000 citizens from Kosovo through the Morina border point. Thousands of vehicles and buses from different travel agencies created long lines for entering Albania. The Morina border point has seen a high number of tourists since the start of the summer, but these first days of August, the month when most of the citizens start their holidays, have seen a really significant increase in vacationers. Every year, citizens from Kosovo and Macedonia prefer to spend their holidays on the Albanian coast. The border police are now working with extra staff to face the increased number of tourists. Despite the additional staffing, long lines of vehicles were still seen all the way into Kosovo's villages near the border point. Considering only the first 4 days of August, Morina's border point has already accommodated 60,000 people in more than 7,000 small vehicles and 100 buses. In July, a total of 1.2 million people and 400,000 vehicles entered Albania through the Morina border point. Moody's Investors Service, or Moody's, has today affirmed the government of Albania's B1 long-term foreign and local currency issuer ratings and the B1 foreign currency senior unsecured rating, with the outlook remaining stable. The decision to affirm Albania's credit rating takes into account the significant progress achieved in recent years in terms of fiscal consolidation as well as structural and institutional reforms. However, offsetting these positive developments are a number of credit challenges that continue to weigh on the country's credit profile. The first driver for the rating affirmation is Albania's progress on fiscal consolidation and structural reforms under the recently concluded 3-year IMF program, as well as progress in strengthening the quality of institutions in pursuit of EU accession. The government's fiscal deficit narrowed to 1.8% of GDP in 2016 from 5.2% in 2014. Fiscal discipline has been maintained through this electoral cycle, and Moody's expects the deficit to decline further in 2017-18, supported by expenditure rationalisation, reduced energy-related payments and a number of measures aimed at improving revenue collection, an area where Albania still lags behind its regional peers. The second factor considered in the affirmation of the rating at B1, notwithstanding the aforementioned improvements, is Albania's low economic strength, which balances improving growth dynamics against a small economic size, low competitiveness and relatively low GDP per capita. Economic growth is supported by improvements in domestic demand and net exports. Moody's predicts real GDP growth to accelerate slightly to 3.6% in 2017 and 3.8% in 2018 from 3.4% in 2016. The third driver is the still high, albeit declining, debt burden, along with large financing needs reliant on a banking system and burdened by non-performing loans. Although declining, public debt still exceeds 70% of GDP in 2016, remaining above the pre-crisis level of 62.1% of GDP in 2012. Furthermore, despite making progress, Albania continues to face fiscal risks, particularly from the electricity sector due to its exposure to adverse weather conditions that can lead to costly energy imports. Despite declining considerably, gross borrowing requirements remain close to 20% of GDP in 2017, relatively large compared to rated peers and well above the B-rated median of 10.1% in 2017. Tirana's City Hall will rehabilitate the roundabout at the Zogu area, a project that is expected to be completed by the beginning of September. Tirana's Mayor, Arion Velia, inspected the work today and explained the new project. This just cannot be the entrance to Tirana. The new project includes a mini park with a central space where different artistic installations can be put and will be changed according to the season. The other part will have fountains and different plants, giving the entrance to Tirana a similar vibe to that of Skanderberg Square, declared the Mayor. After concluding the work at the roundabout of Zogu, the City Hall will construct an underpass at the Shqiponja Square. This is predicted to solve the problem of heavy traffic in this area. We will initially start with the construction of an underpass at Shqiponja Square, where we have the biggest problem with traffic. Then it will be connected with the big ring road, in this way providing a long-term solution to the poor traffic conditions, declared the Mayor. Mr. Villiai expressed his sincere enthusiasm about the construction of the square at the Zogu area, which will have a mini park, green area and fountains. That's all for our English edition this evening. My name is Alexandra. Please join me again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. On behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.